Hello my fellow gamers and welcome to my multiplayer battle warm-up. I'll be using a Shogun 2 battle for this video, as I'll be talking about basic Total War multiplayer tactics. These tactics will be the same in Rome 2. I'll be showing you what I do pre-battle, during the battle and post-battle. This is a large funds battle against a silver 8-star general. He's a melee specialized general. Pleasantries were exchanged so the battle starts in a positive light. Like I said, try and disregard the fact that this is a Shogun 2 battle and concentrate just on battle tactics, rules and moves. The deployment phase. After the last dozen or so battles, I already have a routine for deploying this particular army. I'm setting up two groups made up of two cavalry units. Their default task is intercepting enemy cavalry and protecting my flanks. Each group is made up of different cavalry units in order to be flexible, adaptive for retasking, and requires additional attention from the enemy when he engages them. I always use 3 and 4 for cavalry, 3 goes on my left flank, 4 on my right flank. Group 1 is dedicated to the main infantry contingent, 2 for additional infantry units or units separated from Group 1. 5 is dedicated to bow units, and Groups 6 and 7 are miscellaneous. Usually those can be scouts, key building capture units, meat shields or throwaway units. In Rome 2 you will be able to set up a unit group with just one unit, which is a welcome addition. As my general is a leadership general, his place is as close to the main battle lines as possible. This is why I have dismounted him and placed him behind my hero unit, my toughest unit, while I have placed on either side of him sword and naginata units. This follows the same logic as with the cavalry groups. The sword and naginata units are mixed up, and that makes the formation less predictable, more flexible, and makes the enemy general spend more time choosing which unit he will attack with which one of his own units. The additional naginata warrior monk unit behind the general has the default role of protecting him against cavalry back attacks. You might have noticed that that was the second time I said a default role or a default task for a unit. This is because the unit default's role, or its default task, is what it can do for your army. You know what that unit can do for your army because you know the composition of your army. But the moment you find out what units the enemy army is made of, those default tasks go out the window, and those units will need to be retasked as the battle develops. As the battle has started, you only have two things to do: send out your units into the battle to grab more ground or a better position, and look over the enemy's army. Since Rome 2 will be introducing the line of sight system into the multiplayer battles, we will have one additional step: scouting. The game will no longer be supplying you with the enemy's position, you will have to actively seek him out, but you will still be starting the battle the same way. As you can see here, my opponent, just like me, brings out a ranged horse unit supported by melee cavalry. This is my first engagement in this battle, and I have to go psychological on my enemy. Let me explain why. The split-second decision of whether to commit to battle or not comes down to the fact that the enemy general has a melee specialized general. Because of this, I base my assumption that he is no stranger to melee cavalry engagements, and that he will go all the way. A very important point here is that I have engaged each cavalry unit one-on-one, thus keeping my advantage of 4 versus 3. My 4th unit, the fire cavalry, can now go around the one-on-one individual fights, and I can pick and choose on which anvil I will bring down the hammer. Now that the enemy units have been routed, it is very important to regroup and re-evaluate both your army position and its status. Now you have to go into your opponent's head once again. Is he going for a full-on attack, or is he going for another skirmish? Just as before, it's only a split-second decision, and you can see it if you look at my topmost half-alive Yari cavalry unit. At first I was withdrawing it, but when I realized this is no skirmish, I ordered it to attack his general unit, which was already chasing it. Once again you saw a cavalry unit engaged frontally, but this time 1 versus 2 units, while the second unit is free to move and get into position for a flank or back attack. You also saw that I ordered the naginata unit, whose default task was protecting the general from back cavalry attacks, to go into the cavalry engagement, because A. Its default task is redundant now, all enemy cavalry is engaged, B. To win the cavalry fight, and C. To allow my cavalry to disengage and be retasked. Which is exactly what I will be executing right now. It is important not to get too consumed with the main engagement and forget about other units that you might have around the battlefield. This is now the win or lose stage of the battle. From this moment forward, individual unit control is key in order to fulfill the overall battle plan. Are you still wondering what plan I was talking about? Or did you just figure out when I finished executing it? As you saw, I was giving orders to each unit, and not just attack orders, but move orders as well, in order to get them into position for flanking or back attacks. Those attacks give the most massive morale penalties to enemy units. Abilities like Warcry or Whistling Arrows can help in lowering the enemy's morale, but you cannot count on them breaking their morale and routing enemy units. And that is the key of any land battle, to rout your enemy. You do not need to kill all his units in order to win, you just need to break them so they are removed from the game. Once you get to post-battle screen, it is very important to look at your individual unit performance. Sorting by the number of kills will give you an important idea which units should you keep track of when watching the battle replay. A unit with a high kill-death ratio can show you where you did good, while a unit with a low kill-death ratio will show you where you made mistakes. Armed with that information, you should now go into the replay directory and watch the battle. Once you start the replay, you can spend more time looking over the enemy units. By studying his units' formation and deployment, you can learn how to better fight the next enemy that brings a similar army. A very good tip is to hold the space key while watching the replay, because that will turn on the order tracker for all units. You will be able to watch when and which orders you gave to units, which is an incredibly useful tool while you are reviewing your own battle. Now you can look over every engagement in detail and learn how well or bad did your units fight each enemy unit. You can see the effectiveness of unit types against other unit types or two units of the same unit type. Aside from having another person review your battle, the battle replay system is the best possible tool of improving your skill at playing a Total War game. I would advise watching each battle after playing it and watching battles you lose or win by a small margin at least twice. I hope you were paying attention, and even if nothing I have said in this video is news to you, it's not a bad idea to refresh your memory before going into Rome's 2 multiplayer. There are other battle tactics that I could talk about and a lot more details that I could go into, but I would leave it up to you to tell me in the comment section, do you want to see another video like this before Rome 2 comes out? Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.